Today is Thursday, January 28, 2021. This is your weekdaily highly encouraging word. Today we're going to meet Haman and hear about his hatred of an entire race based on the behavior of just one man, Mordecai. We're continuing in our palindromes of the week. Today is your 2821 palindrome. I've got an old bookmark to share, the whole thing. But let's get to our text first. Man, I just love the name Mordecai. Great name. Let's hear about how he stands up, quite literally, to Haman. This is the book of Esther, chapter 3. After these events, King Xerxes honored Haman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite, elevating him and giving him a seat of honor higher than that of all the other nobles. All the royal officials at the king's gate knelt down and paid honor to Haman, for the king had commanded this concerning him. But Mordecai would not kneel down or pay him honor. Then the royal officials at the king's gate asked Mordecai, "Why do you disobey the king's command?" Day after day they spoke to him, but he refused to comply. Therefore they told Haman about it, to see whether Mordecai's behavior would be tolerated, for he had told them he was a Jew. When Haman saw that Mordecai would not kneel down or pay him honor, he was enraged. Yet, having learned who Mordecai's people were, he scorned the idea of killing only Mordecai. Instead, Haman looked for a way to destroy all Mordecai's people, the Jews, throughout the whole kingdom of Xerxes. In the 12th year of King Xerxes, in the first month, the month of Nisan, they cast the pur, that is, the lot, in the presence of Haman to select a day and month, and the lot fell on the 12th month, the month of Adar. Then Haman said to King Xerxes, "There is a certain people dispersed and scattered among the peoples in all the provinces of your kingdom, whose customs are different from those of all other people, and who do not obey the king's laws. It is not in the king's best interest to tolerate them. If it pleases the king, let a decree be issued to destroy them, and I will put 10,000 talents of silver into the royal treasury for the men who carry out this business." So the king took his signet ring from his finger and gave it to Haman, son of Hammedatha the Agagite, the enemy of the Jews. "Keep the money," the king said to Haman, "and do with the people as you please." Then on the 13th day of the first month, the royal secretaries were summoned. They wrote out in the script of each province and in the language of each people all Haman's orders to the king's satraps, the governors of the various provinces, and the nobles of the various peoples. These were written in the name of King Xerxes himself and sealed with his own ring. Dispatches were sent by couriers to all the king's provinces with the order to destroy, kill, and annihilate all the Jews, young and old, women and little children, on a single day, the 13th day of the 12th month, the month of Adar, and to plunder their goods. A copy of the text of the edict was to be issued as law in every province and made known to the people of every nationality, so they would be ready for that day. Spurred on by the king's command, the couriers went out, and the edict was issued in the citadel of Susa. The king and Haman sat down to drink, but the city of Susa was bewildered. All right. Thus far, we've seen Mordecai willing to honor authority, even to oust some would-be assassinators there that were guarding the gate. He turned them in. But here we see him not honoring authority in the way that we sort of would have expected. We know that this command from King Xerxes here concerning Haman would cause Mordecai to break a commandment, honoring God first. So when it involves this worship, he sees this as idolatry, and he doesn't kneel down. He stands up to Haman, quite literally. And boy, that sets Haman off. His pride and arrogance, they're just so enlarged that he simply can't take it. Xerxes himself built up Haman, giving him a good place, a good seat of honor, higher than the other nobles. We see Xerxes saying to Haman, take my ring, keep the money, do with the people as you please. This was likely not the first time Xerxes had spoken to Haman in this way, so Haman sort of maybe even knew that that was an option for him. So he's been puffed up here. But because someone is not willing to feed that puffed up Haman, Mordecai's not willing to feed that pride and feed that arrogance, Haman is going to really take his hate to the next level. I mean, listen to the words in the edict. Destroy, kill, annihilate, young and old, women and little children, all in a single day. He's got a pretty nasty plan. The word annihilate means to bring to nothing. That's how significant here Haman's goal is. So my encouragement to us all after reading this dangerous starter to the story here, knowing what could happen to the Jews, my encouragement is, number one, to not abandon God's law. That means you're going to have to be familiar with His law. You're going to have to know which kinds of things are, in fact, what must be obeyed. But when those are challenged and when you are required to break that by law or whatever, my encouragement for you is to stand up for God's law, even at personal risk. And my number two is to not enable someone else's hate, as Xerxes was doing here in this story. And that's going to look a little differently for all of us, depending upon who we are meeting with or communicating with. But we should not puff people up in the wrong path, because at the end of that path is going to be something maybe like this that involves some pretty significant hatred and rage. So, all right, let's have a quick closing prayer here. Dear Lord, help us to honor You above all. Help us to clearly know when we are being asked something that is beyond our ability to be obedient to You and Your law. Help us to stand firm and stand up. Help us also not to puff up others in their own pride and make it easier for them to falter in their obedience. We love You, Lord. Help us to honor You. Amen. All right, a quick palindrome of the day here as we start wrapping things up. Oozy rat in a sanitary zoo. It's just too funny not to include. Oozy rat in a sanitary zoo. I mean, who wants that thing in there? Nobody. All right, I'll share an old bookmark with you here. I'll put the link in the email and also on the YouTube video, I think, in the description. I found a nice one with someone's Instructable, I believe, about how to make an epoxied table, and they covered their table with pennies. It's like a desk, a built-in desk, and then they epoxied over it, and it is just gorgeous, and I love that whole idea. So really cool. Check that out if you have time. Other things to mention, Gabe found his backpack. Thank you to everyone who helped him look at the Christmas party for the middle school group. He found it at home. We're going to close with a little blessing from our text and then our verse. Here's our blessing. May we kneel down together and pay honor to Christ, our true King. I look forward to that day. All right, let's close with our verse. But we are not of those who shrink back and are destroyed, but of those who believe and are saved. Hebrews 10, verse 39. Have a great day, everybody.